you over there. I see you struggling with the numbers, but don't have no fear, cause I'm right here. We're gonna grow and learn together, there's no need to despair. Math cool like breeze, I can learn it with ease. So leave your concerns because it's time to learn.
Hey guys, so you made it to the final video in the addition and subtraction series. So far, we've learned how to add and subtract numbers up to 10, numbers up and over 10, and all numbers in general using the place value method. I would say that at this point you have addition and subtraction down, but there are some tips that can be really helpful when adding and subtracting in general. So today we're going to cover 6 different ones. Are you ready? Let's go. Number 1. Finding the ones digit when we add and subtract 9. Okay, so the first tip is that when adding a number to 9, think of the number minus 1. No, the reason is because adding 9 is the same as adding 10 and then subtracting 1. So the ones digit of the result will always be 1 less. So for example, if it's 6 plus 9, the first thing I see is 5, right? If it's 7 plus 9, you think 6. Now you can actually do this with other numbers like adding 8 and thinking of the number less 2, but I found that 9 is the most natural one to remember since it's just 1 less. Also note that I'm only focusing on the ones digits. This tip probably won't get you the entire answer, but combined with some of the other tips I will be discussing, it can definitely help. For subtraction, the process is similar in that I always think of the number plus 1. Again, some examples. So 15 minus 9, you think of 6. 27 minus 9, think of 8. So here's the shorthand version of what I just said. When adding 9 to a number, subtract 1 from the number, and when subtracting 9, add 1 to the number to get the ones digit. Okay, so on to the next tip. Sometimes it works faster to separate numbers by their place value in your mind, add each group, and then combine them at the end. No, number 1, like everything that we've been doing, this takes practice to do because you have to figure out whether it's worth it to even try and compute the number in your head in the first place. What I use to determine this is if by adding each place value amount, the result for each group is a single digit number. So there's no need for carrying or borrowing digits. I think this is best shown as an example, so here goes. 56 plus 42. So right away I separate the tens and ones digits and then add them. So 5 and 4 and 6 and 2, both these groups when added provide a single digit number. 5 plus 4 is 9 and 6 and 2 is 8. So the end result will be 98. For subtraction, let's try another example. 68 minus 24. 6 minus 2 is 4, 8 minus 4 is 4, and so we get 44. Really, all this is doing is doing the place value method only in your head, right? And it makes it less complicated since you don't have to borrow or carry any number. So whenever you have the chance, make sure to put your brain to work and try adding and subtracting some numbers together using this tip. Now, number 3, learning the art of compensation. Now, we looked at this a little in our second video, if you remember how we got the result of 19 minus 8, but this is compensation on a much larger scale. This starts first by identifying whether the number is close to a number ending with 0. So a number ending with 0 is almost like a nice number, right? Then we use that nice number in our operation, and then we make up for it by taking the difference between the actual number and the nice number and put it back into the operation. Okay, that sounds a bit confusing. And we're going to use examples so you'll be able to see. Now, a question you might have is, how close is close? Well, that is actually determined by you and what you feel most comfortable with. So let's try a couple examples. Number 1, 18 plus 7. In this case, 18 is very close to 20. That would be our nice number. So instead of trying to add 18 plus 7, we instead would add 20 plus 7 to give 27. But because we added 2 to get 20, we have to subtract it again, and 27 minus 2 is 25. Now let's try a much bigger number, say 812 minus 90. Now you might be thinking, Tamara, what are you doing? But just follow me. 812 is close to 800, right? So we subtract 12 down to get our nice number, which is 800, right? 800 minus 90 is 710, but then we have to add the 12 that we subtracted earlier to 710, and we get 722. Now, our next tip works best when we're adding numbers that are very close to each other, like, for example, 6 plus 7 or 20 plus 22. In the first example, 6 and 7 are very close, so we can double the 6 to get 12 and then add one more to get 13. In the second example, we would double 20 to get 40, then add 2 to get 42. This is kind of similar to how we added up to and over 10, but instead of using 10 as our marker to add up to, we just double the number instead. Note that we are doubling the smallest of the two numbers, and then we add the remaining amount to complete the sum. Number 5. Adding is commutative. Now, this is more of a fact than a tip, but knowing this can be used to your advantage. Now, remember in the very first video in the series, I explained that an operation in math is used on a combination of numbers to provide a result. The commutative property states that if we change the order of the numbers and we use the operation, the result will be the exact same thing. Addition is a commutative operation. And this is why I can say that when adding, we can use the bigger number first because it doesn't matter what order the numbers come in. This is not the same for subtraction. Think about it as subtracting 6 from 10 is not the same as subtracting 10 from 6. So with subtraction, the order matters, but for addition, the order does not. Now, our final tip comes from looking at the relationship between addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction are known as inverse operations, and what this basically means is that they reverse each other. So if we add two numbers to get a total, then if we start with the total and subtract either of the numbers, we should get the other one. So for example, 4 plus 5 equals 9. So that means that 9 minus 4 is equal to 5, and also 9 minus 5 is equal to 4. Why is knowing this useful? Well, I'm glad you asked, because this is the next tip. Sometimes it's easier to use the reverse operation in order to get the answer quicker. Let's try an example to see. Let's look at 9 minus 6. Now we can always count backwards 6 steps to get to 3, but we could have also asked ourselves, from 6, what do we add to get 9? Notice that that is an addition question. So 6 plus 3 equals 9. In this case, it's easier to count 3 steps from 6 to get to 9 than it is to count 6 steps from 9 to get to 3. Now imagine this concept applied to even bigger numbers. Say 19 minus 14. We can use the place value method. We could even count backwards 14 steps. Or we could ask ourselves, what number can we add to 14 to get 19? And the answer would be 5. Now you see that sometimes it's easier to do the reverse operation in order to get the answer faster. Okay, I feel like I've shared enough tips to help you become a master at addition and subtraction. So let's end today's lesson by recapping what we learned. When adding a number to 9, we think of the number minus 1, and when subtracting 9 from a number, we think of the number plus 1. Adding and subtracting can further be made easier by grouping place values, compensating after rounding, or doubling the number up. Addition is a commutative operation, while subtraction is not. And finally, sometimes using the operations in reverse can help to get the answer faster. Now that we've completed the series and you've been introduced to a number of methods under addition and subtraction, I just want to make a huge disclaimer to any student watching. I think if you learned anything over the past 4 videos, it's that there are many different ways to get the answer to a problem. Sometimes you might have difficulty learning something as it's being taught to you, and you might give up and you might think that you will never get it. But there are so many other ways that you can try to find understanding. I think the most beautiful thing about the subject is that as long as you understand the concept, you will get the answer correct every single time. And I cannot tell you guys how many times I have had difficulty in remembering certain things that were taught to me. There are certain topics that to this day, I don't fully understand the formulas that were given to me. But once I took the time to understand the concept, I never needed to, remember all of those things because I could use logic, right? Once it makes sense, it will work. There are just other ways, trust me. Number one, you can go to your teacher and ask them to try and teach it in a different way. You can read another textbook to see if there is a different way that it is explained. You can go on the internet, watch a YouTube video. Hello. They're just other ways. Do not worry about having to remember things word for word. Once it makes sense, it will work. And that's a lesson for math. That's also a lesson for life, because math is life. Okay, so that's it for this video and for our addition and subtraction series. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to click the like button if you did. Also comment below whether you like seeing videos in this type of format and what other topics you think would be good to teach in this way. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your post notifications to see all upcoming videos. Lastly, be a friend and tell a friend. Remember, we're all in this together because math is life.